What's up, guys? Mark back here with yet another riveting episode here on the Avion Awesome channel. Today, I'm going to show you all something that I've been working on. It's one of my many projects that I have been meaning to get around to and just haven't had the time. But I think you guys are probably going to like it, especially if you happen to travel with a generator. Okay, so now I've got several different power generating sources. You know, I've got my solar generator, aka the Energy Kodiak. And if you guys have been following me for any length of time, you'll also know that I have one of the Predator 3500 Harbor Freight generators. Been great. It's been fantastic. For the small amount of time that I've actually needed it. I've only put maybe like 78, maybe 85, somewhere in that ballpark. I can't remember exactly how much it is, like hours on it. So not a whole lot. And the first 25 to 30 hours was just breaking it in. So without saying a whole lot, I mean, that pretty much tells you all you need to know, that I really haven't needed the regular generator all that much. Granted, I was in Florida for 6 months and the weather was damn near perfect the entire time, so I really didn't need much AC or heating solutions the entire time I was down there, obviously. And I only boondocked a small amount of time relative to the amount of time that I stayed in Thousand Trails campgrounds. But I really did, I knew that I was probably going to end up being a much larger boondocker once I got up north, because, well, there ain't no Thousand Trails up there. Like, there's none. There's none in any of the places that I'm going to be spending the vast majority of my summer in. And that's the reason I'm going in that direction. So I'll be going up through Indiana. I think I might make a pit stop up in Michigan. Then I'm heading over through like Illinois. And then eventually my first destination location is going to be in South Dakota. I want to go see, you know, Mount Rushmore. I want to go see the Badlands, that whole thing. But then I'm just going to be skating across all those northern states. Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, Washington, and Oregon. And it's going to be a little chilly, so I have a feeling that I'm probably going to need a little bit of heating in some of those areas. I've been checking the weather up there, and it is not hospitable. And, you know, the number one thing to remember is that weather is pretty unpredictable, and when you have these jet streams constantly coming around in your direction, there's a really good chance that stuff is just going to, you know, change on a whim. There's a really good chance. So you need to be prepared for whatever the case may be. So if it's going to be raining, if it's going to end up being cloudy, I'm going to need a generator. Eventually, the stuff that I'm going to be running inside the camper, it's eventually going to drain my batteries. It's just inevitable. It's just the way that it goes. Again, that was the reason I got the Predator generator. That way I could just run everything in the camper. It's 3,500 peak watts. I think running watts is like 3,000, so I've pretty much got this camper covered. I don't use much electricity anyway, but in those events where I need to either stay cool or I need to stay warm, I can run a heater. I can run the AC, no problem. All right, so let's take a look here in the bed of the truck. Okay, now I've rearranged this generator probably 4 different times over the last 6 months since I've been on the road. It has gone through numerous iterations and orientations in there, me trying to figure out what would be the best total solution. And if I want the most protection for the generator, I have found that, you know, it's best to be way up there so that any rainfall or anything like that doesn't affect it. Plus, it also makes it at least a tad bit harder for people to steal it and run off with it, right? So I pushed it all the way to the back, and I've still got my bike cables there in the tie-down loops. But the thing that I was always concerned about was, what about airflow? You know, with it being so far to the front and having this cover right here, it doesn't allow for a whole lot of airflow. Not to mention it gets really hot back in there, and I don't want to melt this tonneau cover. That was my main concern, but I think I've got a solution for it, and I think it's going to be pretty awesome. So let's roll back this tonneau cover, and I'll show you what I got done thus far. I did it yesterday. I was going to record it, but I mean, it was a scorcher yesterday. It was like 91 degrees, and honestly, I just didn't feel like doing work and recording the process, to be honest with you. And it's not that hard. Honestly, it's super easy. Okay. Toolbox out of the way. All right, now this is my solution, and I think it looks pretty awesome, honestly. So in the bed of most trucks, you're going to have some drain holes, right? Most trucks have them these days, so that if water begins to build up in the bed of your truck, you know it has somewhere to go, it can drain out. So I already knew for a fact that I was going to want to use these holes. So I did. I went to, I think it was either Home Depot or Lowe's, I can't remember which, and I got some of this aluminum conduit. It's basically for electrical. But because it's made out of aluminum, I thought, you know what, I'll just take this, reroute the exhaust, because as you can see, I've got all this sort of like black soot here on the truck. That's from that. It was blowing out black soot, and it's to be expected. And so I wanted to avoid that, and I also wanted to push as much of the hot air out of the bed of the truck as possible without changing the dynamic of the engine. And I tested it yesterday for about a half an hour, let it run. Because it's aluminum, first of all, it's super duper lightweight. Second of all, aluminum disperses heat really, really fast. So I've got the back cover back on, so everything fits very OEM and stock. So what I've got here is I've got the aluminum pipe, and I've got this, it's a compression coupler. Found both of them in the electrical section, so I ran this out the bed of the truck, and I've got it, I've got a metal wire, you know, twist tied onto this, holding it in place so it doesn't dangle. And then I jammed this onto the exhaust pipe, and then use these compression fittings so it's nice and tight on there. It's not moving. So now I can reroute the exhaust out the bed of the truck. No more soot, no more black stuff in the bed. And this disperses heat so well that even while I was grabbing the end of the pipe on the bottom end, I was able to touch it with bare hand without getting burnt. Now, I do realize that several people would probably have a few concerns about, you know, changing, you know, the exhaust on an item or whatever. But like I said, I did test it out, and it ran absolutely perfect yesterday. I'm going to get up underneath here and kind of show you all what I did so that you have a really good idea of what's going on, how it was all done. And I mean, it's super simple. I mean, there's really not much to it. So let's take a look underneath. Okay, so now we're underneath, and you can see where the aluminum pipe comes out of the bed of the truck. And then I've just got it kind of looped inside the lip of the bed. And then right here is where I've got it metal kind of zip tied here to the bed. And here's the end of it, so you can kind of see what it looks like. And even at this end, this, I think, ended up only being maybe 4 or 5 feet total for the hose. It worked like an absolute charm, folks, I'm telling you. But there is one more component that I'm going to be working with in order to make this whole system just a little bit more, I don't know. I want to set my mind at ease just a little bit more, so check this out. And this is it. It's the X-Power, I think it's like the P80 or something. Hang on, here's the box. I got it off Amazon. It's called the X-Power P80A. It moves about 600 cubic feet per minute. And this thing is just automatically going to come on whenever I start up the generator. And if I have it just turned around like this, I can point it, because this generator sucks air up in through the bottom. And I've also seen people that will cut hole in this little door and add some little air filters and stuff. But just having the air move in and around the unit, even when the tonneau cover is up and over, protecting it, I think it's going to do the trick for me. But then again, everything sounds pretty good on paper, or a lot of stuff sounds really good on paper. It's in practice that's going to be the determining factor. So I don't know, on some of these really, really hot days, you know, the sun will be beating down on that black tonneau cover, and it's going to be holding in a lot of heat. I guess it would be different if the, you know, tonneau cover was white, or if I had maybe like a truck cap or whatever that was also, that matched the paint, and it was white and it kept it cooler inside the bed of the truck. But if I have this, you know, a little closer to here, and I only roll the tonneau cover back a couple of rolls while it still protects this thing, and it's keeping that air, that fresh air moving in, it might work. I think it's going to work. Like I said, though, everything sounds better on paper than it does in real life. So maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but that's the plan I've got so far. Hopefully it actually does what I have in my head. I tested it for about 30 minutes or so yesterday, let the generator run and run and run. The exhaust part worked like fantastically. The fan part, I'm not 100% for sure. I mean, there may be just too much heat in the bed when the sun's beating down on it. I don't know, but only time will tell. If you guys happen to think that I'm wrong, or if you all think this is a pretty good system, or, you know, whatever, I will definitely keep you all updated, just like I do with everything. But if you all already have experience with it, or maybe you've tried something similar to this, you know, just because that generator weighs a lot, realistically, it would be much better for me to bring it outside the bed and make sure that it got plenty of fresh air, and, you know, it was never covered up and the heat wasn't building up at all. But I mean, it's just, there's no way that I'm going to be able to just haul that thing in and out of the bed all the time. It's impractical. So at any rate, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope I gave maybe a few ideas on how you could get by, especially if you're out there solo all by yourself trying to live that RV life. Thanks so much for watching yet another riveting episode here on the Avion Awesome channel. I'm your host, Warren Puckett, and I'm going to see you guys again on the next one. Peace.